Hi, I'm Dennis Coleman from Accountants Desktop. This video will introduce you to our JobPaper collection of Excel-based working papers for accountants in practice. I'm going to take you on a tour of a sample JobPaper file, demonstrate what it can do, and show you how to do it. When looking at options for practice workpapers, Excel has a number of significant advantages over other systems. It's the dominant application for calculations. Accountants are regular users and know how to use it. You can work offline compared to web-based solutions. It's very flexible. You can type and paste almost anywhere, do your own calculations, add ticks and crosses, and importantly, you have possession of the file free from logins or subscription expiry dates. Most of the common sources of information for your workpapers, such as Xero, MyOb and the ATO portal, allow you to export reports in Excel format. Therefore, it's a very simple process to paste those reports into your Excel working paper file. As we all know, accounting practices keep working papers to show how they arrived at their finished product. A job pack is a set of work papers in a single Excel file. It has multiple worksheets and is designed for use on a specific job. There are several job pack types, including annual accounts, FBT, BAS, and a generic job pack for any other job. They're very easy to use and have a consistent layout across all job pack types. There are no account mapping routines for reconciliations. You save it with other client files in your document management system, and they form a very important part of a paperless system for processing jobs. And where do job papers fit in with your work papers? When used in conjunction with a PDF copy of client records and a PDF editor, job papers form an essential part of a paperless platform for managing and completing a job in your practice. Importantly, the role of PDF files is to house client documents related to the job. The JobPaper file is used for calculations, reconciliations, reviews, and job management tasks. It will contain snippets from your PDF file and other sources, and together the PDF and JobPaper files are your working papers for that job. So here is a sample JobPack file. We're looking at the dashboard at the moment, which is your job headquarters. It summarises the contents of the file by showing which sheets are in use, the number of items that each sheet were applicable, any outstanding actions, and the status of reconciliations in the accounting reports. It also contains links to all of the worksheets. I've zoomed into the job management part of the dashboard. This section shows the total number of items for each activity and the number incomplete where applicable. Included in this section are pre and post job admin tasks, a job procedures and manager or partner review checklist, things to do, queries to be resolved, all job related communications, file notes, and a dedicated record sheet. In the remaining sections, a green tick tells us that the particular sheet is in use. So in our sample file, we can see that we have a trial balance, an ATO revenue summary report, an ATO integrated client account report, a BAS summary, and a GST owing reconciliation report. We also have a DIY calculation down the bottom, which is a client spreadsheet with summary for the year. Each job pack has its own customised menu included with the standard Excel ribbon. See the Accountants tab at the top of the screen, just to the right of the File tab. This tab will be active whenever the file is opened. Using this menu is by far the easiest way to navigate around a job pack file. The first group under this tab is a Tools group, which has a back button to take you back to the previous screen, a top button to take you to the top of the current sheet, ticks and crosses to add alongside anything, a link to the help sheet, and a Reset Views button, which I'll talk about later. The remaining groups within this tab mimic the sections on the dashboard itself, with the template and DIY calculations being accessed via drop-down lists. The other ways to navigate around the file include accessing the pop-up menu at the bottom left of the screen, which is activated by right-clicking on the two arrows in that corner, or simply scrolling through the sheet tabs with a normal click on those arrows. You can get general help on using this file at the Help sheet by clicking on that item in the Tools group of the Accountants tab in the top menu. That sheet also has links to some of our videos on YouTube with tips on working without paper and working with Excel and Adobe. In addition, most sheets have specific help related to that sheet in the top left-hand cell. If we look at the Admin Pre-Job sheet, you will see the letter I with a yellow background, and when I hover over that cell, the help information for that sheet pops up. There are 3 customizable checklists in a job pack. The first is a pre-job checklist, which is typically performed by one of your admin staff and includes things like scanning records, downloading reports from the ATO, making sure folders and access to records are all in place. The second checklist is a post-job checklist, and this includes all of the typical things that might be done when the job is completed, such as preparing an invoice, the covering letter, and contacting the client. The third checklist is a procedures checklist, and this is a comprehensive checklist of all of the steps that should be followed to complete this job. We've included our recommendations on what should be in each checklist, but feel free to customise each one to suit the individual needs of your practice. If you don't want to use any of these checklists, simply delete the contents in each table and the numbers on the dashboard will show 0. Obviously, checklists are important because they help you maintain consistency in the way that you complete your jobs. All checklists have a status column with special formatting. Enter a 0 for not applicable and a red cross displays. Or enter 1 for completed and a green tick will display. Any blank cell will count as an incomplete item. There is a summary of the status of all tasks in each checklist at the top of the sheet and on the dashboard. You might find it easier to work with long lists by filtering for blank cells, and only those items which have not been completed will be shown in the table. There are 3 ways to add content to a job pack. Pasting Excel-based data is by far the best option because it enables you to work with the numbers in formulas or to copy a number to another location. You can also add content by pasting screenshots. And lastly, simply type numbers or text directly into a cell to add your own content. I'm now going to demonstrate how to copy and paste an Excel file into a job pack. I have a profit and loss statement already exported from Xero, and I'm going to select all of the information on that sheet by right clicking and selecting copy. I go back to the job pack, select the destination sheet, right click and paste special, keep source column widths and click. That last part is important because it ensures that whatever the width of the columns that you're pasting from will be fitted into the columns that are in the job pack. If for some reason you forget to choose that option when pasting, just go up to the View menu and select Headings, and you can manually change the width of the columns by holding down your mouse key on the far right hand corner of the column and dragging it across. The final step in pasting content to this particular sheet is to add a 1 alongside client system to indicate on the dashboard that this sheet is in use. To paste a screenshot into Excel, you select the destination cell in your worksheet and go to the Insert menu, select Screenshot and Screen Clipping. The last used tab will come up grayed out. Simply select the area with your mouse and the image is dropped in. You can do some fancy things like add borders, etc. We've just pasted from Excel. Of course, you wouldn't paste an image from Excel. You'd always paste the actual Excel data itself. And finally, after pasting the image, once again you enter a 1 alongside client system to update the dashboard to show that this sheet is in use. So we're now going to look at the records sheet from our sample file with some records already loaded. As I click on each link in our sample, you can see the record appear to the right of the table. You should add records to this sheet as you work your way through the job. After you enter a description for a new record in the table, a link will appear to the right of that description. Select that link and paste the image or the Excel data or add the text or numbers to that part of this sheet. And finally, for the purposes of reconciling or reviewing the accounts later, you should add the balance appearing in that record so that it can be compared with the balance appearing in the financial report exported at a later stage when reviewing the accounts. And for that reason, it would be much easier to manage if these lists were in alphabetical order. So to sort the table, you can double click on a header. So if I double click on the records balance, you can see that it's sorted in amount order. If I double click on the description column, you can see that it's sorted in alphabetical order, which is what I want. So when we access the list from the review screen, we'll be able to find our record much more easily. As you work your way through a job, you're likely to compile a list of things to do. Compile that list at our to-do sheet and link any item from the record sheet by selecting that record from the drop-down list. A link will appear alongside the record selected, and you can quickly access that record by clicking on the link. To go back to the to-do list, simply click on the back button. As you complete each item, update the status with a 1 and a green tick will appear. The summary of items to do appears at the top of the sheet and also on the dashboard. As you work your way through a job, you are also likely to compile a list of queries to send to the client. Compile that list at this query sheet and link the query to any item in the record sheet by selecting that item from the drop-down list. Click on the link that appears alongside the record selected and you'll be taken to that record. Click back to return to the query sheet. To show an item as completed, enter 1 in the status column. A summary of queries appears at the top of the sheet and also on the dashboard. When you're ready to send these queries to the client, copy and paste the query and response columns, including the headers, directly into your email and send to the client. When using the accounting report sheets, you have 3 options for posting financial reports. Choose either a client system report, a report being used for review, and if required, a final report when the job is completed. Make sure that you add a 1 alongside the relevant report to update the dashboard. The dashboard has a list of preloaded accountant's desktop templates, which many of you would already be familiar with. The templates loaded here are only those relevant to the job type and do not include multi-year calculations such as hire purchase schedules, Division 7A loan calculations, and borrowing expense amortisation. As these calculations span multiple years, we recommend that you save them separately and copy and paste relevant parts for the year to the job pack. If you want to toggle between 2 sheets, it's simply a matter of clicking on the back button in the Tools group in the Accountants tab. So at the moment I have PAYG withholding owing at the end of the year. I may want to go to the ATO integrated client account to see the full list, and then continually click on the back button to toggle between those 2 sheets. To insert comments in a text box, go to Insert and Text Box and draw the box to the size required. You'll see the cursor blinking within the box, so just commence typing. You can also place a text box on top of another image using the same technique. So insert text box, and drag on top. You can format the box with different fill colours. And you can change the font colour. You can resize, you can move, and you can delete by selecting the box and pressing delete on your keyboard. Why not get creative and insert shapes such as a call out by going to Insert, Shapes, and choose the call out that you like. Call out is handy for placing comments in a box and pointing to a particular part on the sheet. To insert a tick or cross, select the destination cell and click on either option in the Tools group of the Accountants tab in the top menu. So for a tick, select our cell, click on the tick. For a cross, select our cell and click on a cross. Ticks and crosses are images and they can be placed on top of other images. To do that, place the tick or cross in a nearby cell and select it and drag it into place. To delete a tick or cross, select it and press delete on your keyboard. You will find it easier to use large Excel files such as a job pack by using multiple windows to view or enter data, which gives you simultaneous access to different sheets. This works extremely well when you are using two monitors. To open a new window, go to View and choose New Window in the window group. A second window is opened and that's designated by the number 2 in the file name at the top of the sheet. If we switch back to the original window, you can see that the file name has the number 1 indicating the first window. But if we go back to window number 2, currently when Excel opens a new window it does not replicate the view settings in the original window, and that's particularly problematical with the freeze pane settings in job packs, which will render some worksheets incredibly difficult to navigate. The settings affected are headings, grid lines and, importantly, freeze panes. To easily and quickly restore these original settings, go to Accountants, Tools and click Reset Views. It only takes a few seconds for a macro to go through the entire window and reset the views. There is no effect on any data or images that have been entered. Reviewing completed accounts in a job pack is a very simple process. You export the relevant report from your practice software, preferably in Excel format, and paste it to the review section of the relevant sheet. The report can either be a trial balance or profit and loss statement and balance sheet, depending on how you like to work. In the sample file on the screen, I have already pasted the relevant trial balance and for expediency I have highlighted those items which have supporting records. In the table to the left of the trial balance, go to the row containing the item with a supporting record and select it from a drop-down list. The balance for the record will display and a link to it in the record sheet will appear. You can view that record by clicking on the link and clicking back to return to the review. Assuming that the records balance agrees with the balance in the report, enter a 1 in the check column and a green tick will appear and the dashboard will be updated. Where a records balance does not reconcile with the financial report, enter a 0 in the check column and a red cross will display, indicating that the issue has to be resolved. I will now complete the remaining items for this review. All done. On completion of the review, you can see a summary of the totals at the top of the screen, and the dashboard totals have been updated accordingly. The last part of this demonstration shows how to reconcile GST collected and paid using the Accountant's Desktop template preloaded to the job pack. The process involves exporting a profit and loss report from your practice software, preferably in Excel format, and pasting it alongside the table headed amounts not subject to GST. In the sample file on screen, I have already pasted the profit and loss statement, and for expediency I have highlighted those items which do not include GST. The first part of the reconciliation process involves completing the figures at the top of the sheet at the summary. For example, in the file in front of us, the total revenue can be inserted in the summary by using a formula. Select the cell under Sales, enter an equal sign, and click on the cell that has the total figure you need. Likewise, for overhead expenses, select the cell where you want the figure placed, enter an equal sign, and scroll down to the total for overhead expenses in your profit and loss report. Select it and press enter. The summary has now been updated to show the total amounts subject to GST, the GST expected amounts of 10%, and those figures are compared with the GST per the BAS summary, which has been entered elsewhere in this job pack. We now need to exclude from the expected GST collected and paid those items which do not include GST. As mentioned earlier, I have highlighted those for expediency, but the process is very similar to the one that we just looked at when we entered the summary. Scrolling down the profit and loss report, identify those items which do not include GST, and you can insert the amounts involved in the relevant columns by using a formula. So for this first line, for sales, I type equals, point to the amount which does not include GST and press enter. I'm going to complete the rest of the sale items in a similar way. I now need to enter those operating expenses which do not include GST, and it's a similar process except that we're entering the figures in the purchases column. So scrolling down, the first one we have is bank fees, followed by depreciation, filing fees, superannuation, and salaries and wages. Going back up to the summary now, you can see that our reconciliation balance for GST collected and paid is now fairly close, and assuming that that's within the tolerance levels in your practice, you've completed the reconciliation process. That completes the video on using job packs. If you have any questions about our job packs, please leave those in the box below this video. Thank you for watching.